Hello, everybody. Welcome back. And welcome back, Wendell, after like a month of traveling.
I'm still jet lagged. A little bit of a zombie.
Yeah, we're doing government and social stories, not security, this week. Also, a reminder before we go any further, this program will be moving to a new channel very, very soon, which most of you already know, but in case you didn't, go subscribe there.
Links with friends. There's a link below.
Below.
Because
I think it's below. It's probably below. Remember when everyone used to point like up here on YouTube and then they got rid of that feature, so now you watch an old video and it's like, what are they pointing at?
They've really gotten rid of a lot of features that make it way less useful.
Yeah.
Way less useful.
What's that not true of?
So why are they changing this to try to encourage some other behavior? Like, what do they want me to do? It's like, in order for you to do this, you have to do these chores.
They want you to stay on their platform, so they don't want to link to something else.
Well, if you want to stay on your phone platform, you're going to be paying more. And for a while there, a lot of people were criticizing it because it's like, hey, this is heavy-handed toward one company. What about this other company who doesn't even make their products in America? And that has now been revised.
Reuters headline is that Trump said that, oh yeah, my tariffs on Apple are also going to apply to Samsung. I want phones made in America again.
Again? Did we make the Nokias here? No.
I was talking about the AT&T, like the old clangers. It's like, the 1960s. It's like, oh yeah.
That was mostly just like ceramide or plastic. Yeah. There was nothing in there. They actually put weights in those things to make them feel heavier.
The really old ones were Bakelite, even before plastic.
So, he has decided to apply that evenly. I suppose that's fair. And another thing that Trump is doing is guaranteeing, probably based on a lot of whispering in his ear by little birdies, big tech birdies, that we're going to have to do something about this power issue.
Trump signs orders to overhaul Nuclear Regulatory Commission and speed reactor deployment.
We should probably have pretty strong regulations about nuclear power, right?
I don't know. I mean, I could go either way because, nuclear should be safe, but also there are a lot of companies that have weaponized nuclear regulation to the point of insanity.
Well, they captured it.
Mm.
And also, some of that might be coming from the existing providers, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to compete with that.
We need to keep the coal plant online. It's like, oh, yes, we should align to nuclear safety and make them have to be extra, 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 extra safe.
Not just coal. The other greens are going to be upset about this, too, because up until this point, nuclear wasn't considered that.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more energy efficient. Here's one where we get a little bit of a benefit, maybe, just because there's a battle and we happen to agree with one side of it. So I'll take it.
Government tells the SCOTUS ISPs shouldn't be forced to boot alleged pirates. This is really just Sony. Sony's behaving sociopathically. Sony believes they own your computer. If you put a music CD in your computer, they believe that they have the right to install a backdoor to spy on everything that you do. And if you don't believe me, you should look that up because they literally did that. And so Sony says that they should be able to tell your ISP that you're a filthy naughty pirate and you shouldn't have an internet service.
Filthy naughty pirate. That's what's actually in the paperwork.
Not a good upstanding pirate. So this is a $1 billion settlement, which they won. The media companies won. But then that was vacated in appeals. But now there's a new appeal. And so maybe it's going to be reinstated. So Trump is weighing in and saying, no, I don't believe in this. I agree with him on this one. It is not the ISPs. If the ISP is made to police us, oh, boy, you think it's heavy-handed now? To protect themselves from $1 billion, they will just be like, oh, you don't have any internet? We don't care.
I think that the slippery slope that we end up on, pretty soon Walmart has its own private police force, and they're just policing, it's like you come in Walmart and they're just...
Oh, that's coming, and they're going to be robots.
Roll back prices, but also roll back, I don't know, your head or something.
Roll you back into the security center once we've captured you shoplifting.
We got to work on that slogan, but we're getting there.
Roll back freedoms.
Yeah, there you go.
And here's a terrifying headline because, as we know, the government has looked at all the data that they have of ours that they shouldn't because they can't protect it. And they've said, you know what we should do with this? We should put it all together. But what stopped them up until now is a lack of ability.
Trump taps Palantir to compile data on Americans. So the data that they're compiling is all of the data they have in all of the various agencies, which up until now there have been privacy laws to stop the IRS from sharing, your taxpayer data with other agencies. But this seems to be trying to peel all that away so that they can build a giant master database. You know how we covered the debanking stuff where somebody is doing something that is frowned upon and it's like, oh, let's delete your bank account and see how you are able to fare without...
To function in modern society without a bank account.
Yeah, imagine how effective that would be if all of your data were in one place.
Oddly enough, this is not a blanket contract. They're negotiating independently with all the various branches of government to then join it all together and something they control, I guess, which seems like the worst possible solution. Can you imagine if you canceled that contract and now you're the one agency that doesn't have this and you got to adapt to that somehow?
I really don't like the idea of somebody calling up one company and saying, this person is causing trouble. How can we get back at them? Which is what's happening.
I'm just thinking that's like the biggest honeypot of all time, right? Like everybody's stuff is in one central place. Like that's a great hacking target.
And if you are pro-censorship, which to me would mean every lawmaker from every country, basically, at this point, right? I mean, there's some outliers, but this would mean that no one should get to come.
U.S. will ban foreign officials to punish countries for social media rules. The State Department will restrict visas for foreign officials that support content moderation censorship in an apparent response to the DSA and other laws. But we're doing a lot of this domestically as well, which is worrying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, it doesn't make any sense.
Like every lawmaker from the previous administration should be deported, right? Because that's exactly what they did. And so does he.
Didn't he just promote a thing that was like, I don't want to see AI images? Yeah, take it down.
Take it down, yeah. So, take it down. Is that not?
Take it down is a terrible law. So, yeah.
SOPA, PIPA, the COSA that they just tried to put back through?
Is there a UK equivalent of Twitter or something? It's like, hey, maybe we shouldn't have this. And would that fall afoul of this?
There's not a UK equivalent of Twitter, which is, I think, what this is all about, right? Our companies. You're censoring our companies.
That's worrying.
And if you remember back in the days when mostly what we had to worry about was crypto scams. Boy, that was a fun time, wasn't it? So much better than what we have now. But we've decided that none of that matters.
The U.S. SEC has dismissed its lawsuit voluntarily against Binance Crypto Exchange. They had initially complained that Binance was enabling trading crypto coins that were associated with Iran and all kinds of crypto scams, and so the SEC stepped in and said, "Hey, we're gonna sue you to not be such a Wild West platform." Binance, for their part, is like, we're just a platform. People are going to use it however. So I could kind of see this going either way, but it's interesting how changes in the administration change how laws are enforced and sort of the rule of law starts to break down.
Which is where this hilarious quote comes from.
The SEC said dismissing the Enforcement Act case was appropriate in the exercise of discretion as a policy matter.
Hey, SEC, this thing that you were really serious about one day, you're not serious about the next. How do you explain that? Well, it's that word salad. That's the excuse. In other words, we got a memo from the top. Don't do that anymore.
That is really sort of terrifying, though. But how do you function as a business when things change from one day to the next?
Well,
watch an episode from a year in the future, and maybe you'll find out.
Unfortunately, they are not a business, and they don't operate like a business. And a lot of the people who were maybe not doing business-like stuff are saying, "Oh, I don't like this anymore."
The CISA has lost nearly all its top officials as the purge continues. So this is the cybersecurity, cyber infrastructure security agency? Something like that?
It's our cybersecurity. I don't know what the exact acronym is. Cybersecurity and infrastructure.
Yeah, the people in charge feel like they're not effective, and so they're leaving.
And not being replaced yet. Is this going to be another, we'll just create a new organization. Replace that. Because that's how it's gone so far.
It seems like a scary number of federal employees are remaining behind to just because it's like, if I leave, everything will fall apart. I have to not let the country fall apart, which is interesting.
narcissistic. And Nancy Mace, boy, she's been in the news. I left out the story last week. She claimed she was going to show the bobs. She didn't. It turned out to be a lie. But she is getting the headlines, and apparently she loves it, and she hates it when people say bad things about her on the Twitter.
Nancy Mace's former staff claims she had them create burner accounts to promote her. She also apparently claims she's a programmer or some sort of developer or something. It's like, hey, I'm going to deploy bots.
Self-taught coder. And according to the sources in this, which were anonymous, so who knows, she brought that up. It's like the vegan thing, right?
Oh.
Like every conversation. Oh, actually, I'm a self-taught coder. There's a great paywall. There's a great quote. I don't remember exactly, but it was like one guy was like, "I never saw her write a single line of code." I don't think so. But
what's your favorite Visual Studio Code plugin?
But she did apparently love to sit at home and create bots and like do all kinds of stuff and force her staff to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. Even though they brought up, they were like, I have some other tasks I need to do. I was like, no.
Also, everyone's going to look at this account, see that it was created yesterday, and realize it's a bot account.
So that's what our lawmakers are up to. That's what they're spending their time doing. And child safety. Yeah, that's the Trojan horse. And unfortunately, it's a very effective one.
Texas adopts the online child safety bill opposed by Apple's CEO because the Apple CEO called the legislature in Texas and said, this is not about child safety. This is about identifying every single person online.
I don't think he said that. He was probably more concerned about, not getting those sweet dollars. But, the worst person can make a good point.
It's interesting that this is the Apple thing because Apple actually does have good parental controls on their devices, and their devices are relatively well locked down. So, like, a parent that's interested in their child's online safety can do all of this without this law.
I don't think parents are the ones that are screaming for this. I think it's the surveillance state. And Tim knows that some people are just going to nope out, right? Like, oh, you need my driver's license for Facebook? Well, I don't use it that much.
Yeah, it's not worth it to give you that.
Do I need to upgrade my iPhone? Because I don't go on any of these sites anymore because they all want a driver's license. So I think it does interest him a lot. He got to keep you engaged so that you keep buying a new iPhone. And Washington. Way to go, Washington.
Washington consumers will gain the right to repair cell phones and other electronics. So,
gosh, I wish that was me.
Parts list parts, and they're going to ban the whole part pairing thing that Apple is so famous for. It's like, oh, your Touch ID sensor is married to this phone. That's not going to be permitted.
And how does that work? Because we've seen a lot where California will make a law, and the tech companies are like, we can't just do it special for this one state, so I guess we have to abandon it. You think they'll go that far?
I doubt it.
I mean, that's one of their big things. Like, they spend a lot of time working on locking that down. Here's hoping they get sued infinitely from Washington residents. Please, let's start a fund.
I just want to replace my battery in my phone. Why is that not allowed?
It used to be allowed.
And if you love Star Wars and you love going online and arguing with people about it, you might have been arguing with some spooks.
The CIA allegedly ran a Star Wars fan site to secretly communicate with informants.
This is a different article. Does it have a screenshot of the site? Because the design was fantastic. Oh, no, it doesn't.
Oh.
This might have been a paywall alternative. The one I read had screenshots of it. It looked like something straight from like 2006.
So it had a search, and if you type the right word in the search, the whole site shifted into CIA mode, and you can talk to your handler. Drop some files off. Clever. Not as good as the time that they used Britney Spears' Instagram. And Texas is not alone. It seems that entire continents want the same thing.
Europe tries to force age verification onto some adult websites, but basically the whole internet at large. They're saying that they're not doing enough to verify that this person looking at the website is an adult. When again, you can lock all this down client side and not a problem.
We know they already want the digital ID. They've tried that over and over. This is just a backdoor into it. And unfortunately, like Texas, they might get it. And Europe is a little bit upset with those not Amazon, but the other Chinese packages that are coming in. But it's not about the tariffs for them. It's about the quality of those products.
Europe warns the giant e-tailer to stop cheating customers or face its wrath. Talking about Shine.
Now,
Shine.
look at this list. How could you not apply every single one of these to Amazon?
Yes, absolutely you could.
Shine, I think, is far more egregious than Amazon, but yes.
Yeah, I would say it's there's degrees to it.
But Amazon definitely does a lot of this too.
Deceptive product labels, misleading sustainability. I don't know about that. I don't care about that. Hidden contract details, like the subscribe and save being the default choice and all that stuff.
We've had some insane things happen with Amazon, and it's just like, how did this happen? Like, one time we ordered some expensive parts and received a brick, and I was just like, oh, this is going to be a nightmare from Amazon. So I just, sent a picture, and I was like, this is what we got in the mail. There's a problem. And they're like, oh, yeah, all right, whatever. And they issued a refund, like, immediately. Like, it's like, oh, yeah, that's the thing that happens sometimes.
Because they know.
Yeah. Well, there was I don't know if we have it in nonsense or not, but there was a story about, like, a bunch of sinks got recalled from Amazon.
I didn't see that.
Oh, no, they all got recalled because they had lead.
Wow.
So I can't remember the name of the models. You might want to look it up.
Do we not have a standards agency? Did we fire
We
them all?
we probably fired them all.
They were all fired. Testing for lead is pretty easy, too. Like, you could just swipe the thing and then send it off, and it'll turn blue or whatever.
Well, they must have been imported, right? Is that what it
Yeah. It was all, those like little pop-up Chinese shops, and then they go to like find them and be like, hey, there's lead, and they're just gone.
Well, that's not the only fraud that we're getting. We're also cleaning up some previous fraud, and it has actually gone into some time.
German court convicts 4 ex-Volkswagen managers of fraud in the emissions scandal. This is Dieselgate. This is the ongoing wrap-up for that. The European Union also has fined Volkswagen, what was it, like $33 billion over Dieselgate. And, they're going to prison.
A little over a year for one guy.
Europe does not mess around.
I don't know, though. I mean, if you think about the aggregate damage, 1 year seems maybe a little light. And oh boy, did this is one of those things where it's like, again, let's protect the people, and look what it's turned into. It's just more of an annoyance. It's maybe worse than we had before. And Germany, once again, stepping up to the plate.
German court rules that cookie banners must offer a reject all button.
Stepping up for efficiency's sake.
I mean, this is kind of obvious. Like, if you're an end user and you got the cookie banner pop up, it's like, I would just like to not have my privacy invaded. Is that an option? That was like 47 clicks.
But application of the law always uses the standard, at least in America, of a reasonable person, right?
Right.
What reasonable person would ever accept? Are you just that desperate for the website to remember your advertising preferences? This specific thing, and I've seen this a couple of times recently, they inverted the whole thing. Yeah. So if you were just cruise control, you were actually agreeing when it looked like you were rejecting, because all the little things were turned off, but they had reversed the logic. Clever.
That's a dark pattern.
Clever, but not clever enough. And this is usually something we see when it comes to water. Like the whole India-Pakistan conflict that's going on right now. There's a lot of water stuff going on there because water flows in one direction. Guess what else does? Well, sometimes.
Belgians accused of stealing wind from the Dutch. I think that this has got to be a Mike Myers, Austin Powers joke come to life somehow, because it's like, the general malaise of, I don't know.
There's definitely a fart joke in there.
Yeah.
Stealing wind.
Apparently 3% reduction in winds. And so the one wind farm on the Brussels side is reducing the amount of wind that's reaching the Dutch wind farm in a similar area.
No, we should put the whole thing on a turntable every couple of days.
It'll be wildly expensive, but man, it'll solve the problem.
So they're saying, you're taking a little bit of our wind. You should be giving us some power in exchange for that. I don't know how much of an argument they've got there. And Pakistan is also looking at, we got a little bit of extra infrastructure and we're going to build a lot more. What are we going to do with all this?
The Reuters headline is Pakistan allocates 2,000 megawatts of electricity to Bitcoin mining and AI data centers. But I think this was mentioned or alluded to in some of the reporting from Nvidia in their quarterly report. And it's just like, hey, this is really going to be for AI data center. And if we can't make money at AI data center, we can always fall back on Bitcoin mining.
Seems reasonable. More the companies are looking for it. Ongoing conflict might discourage companies moving in there. I don't know how much it would, though. And the war has once again caused some really crazy censorship, and people are getting a little fed up about it.
Bombay HC slams Maharashtra government over arrest of 19-year-old student for a post on Op Sindoor. And this was absolutely shocking. And so this is, the Bombay High Court saying, this is terrible. What are you doing with these students? And at first I thought I was talking about what's going on American campuses with students being arrested.
She just posted something, I guess, even vaguely critical of the government, and they immediately were like, into jail.
Not just jail. It was the high security, labor prison jail.
Yeah.
And specifically timed so she couldn't go to her final exams. Yeah. And that's really what seemed to push the people over the edge. You're just trying to destroy her life.
What happens when people here wake up to that sort of thing? Because that's happening here, too.
What has to happen for them to wake up? They are sleeping peacefully. I mean, they're miserable, but they don't seem to care. I guess I'm guilty of that, too. And India is waking up to something that we figured out a couple of years ago. You think they might have read some of those headlines, but no, they continued to buy.
India's alarm over Chinese spying rocks the surveillance industry. So India's got a pretty amazing IT industry. They started digging into some of these surveillance cameras that were coming out of China, and it was like, it does what now? And so
only we should be able to surveil. We don't want them to surveil.
They've issued some warnings.
And it's all the same companies that we've banned, Hike Vision, and I was hoping there was a list here. But all the ones that have already, we were like, oh, hey, there might be some backdoors in here. So India's like, oh, there might be some backdoors in here. Wow.
Look at this severed horse head that we found in our bed as we were trying to figure out what was going on with these cameras.
And this one I added, but then actually I figured out it's in the business section. There's another update that might have invalidated this one already.
Yeah, Reuters headline is Nvidia to launch cheaper Blackwell AI chip for China after U.S. export curbs, sources say. But in the business section, we'll talk about their earnings call. And in their earnings call, they were like, nope, it's not going to work.
Which is a big nope. That's a pretty massive nope.
Yeah, it's a lot of billions of dollars.
And we've had President Putin and or is he president or what is his title? I think he's president.
I think it's president.
He was kind of giving Trump the snub, which we all kind of knew was going to happen and that there wasn't a lot of mutual respect there. But he's also saying that we have a little too much America in our online meetings.
Putin says services like Microsoft and Zoom should be throttled in Russia to allow homegrown alternatives to spring up.
I don't really know what throttling would do. Is just make it a bad experience? Is that what he's talking about?
That worked for YouTube. They made YouTube like 128K.
And this is pretty common. We're getting more and more of these kinds of studies, and it all seem to point in the same direction. Maybe that's goal-seeked, but I don't know. There's a pretty good empirical evidence.
Yes, social media might be making kids depressed.
They came up with this amazing infographic down here.
The study was trying to figure out if you were already depressed, were you just more likely to use social media? And it seems like social media actually does make you depressed. So.
No, depression doesn't make you use social media, but using social media does make you depressed.
That's what is that what I said? Did I not say that?
You said the opposite. I think.
Whoops.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I think we understand what's happening here. I mean, just look at these two circles, Krista.
Well, that's what I was trying to summarize, because that was what they were studying was the other thing. But
isn't the whole problem here is when you use social media, it's like, oh, other people are having less of a hard time than I am. Therefore, it must be a me problem.
And more people are getting likes. People are getting follows, and I'm not. And you can immediately measure socially. Because we have the social baked into us so hard. And when you suck at it, and you get that quantified.
I wonder if it's enough. That there's evolutionary pressure on it that maybe in 5 or 10 generations it'll be fine again.
And finally, we have a new feature coming to Telegram. And it's not because they just love the idea of it. It's because they loved $300 million.
XAI to pay Telegram $300 million to integrate Grok into the chat app. And also, if you choose to subscribe to XAI after experiencing the wonder and awesomeness of Grok, Telegram's going to get half of your subscription fee.
Which is like a voluntary app store. Now that the app store doesn't have to do that. That's weird, huh? How do you think that's a good conversion for them? Every person that does that?
I don't know.
How many people is that going to bring to the table? I guess we'll find out.
Got to bring some money.
Yeah,
right.
because his business was doing so well.
Yeah, he was like, we really just need to get rid of some of this cash.
Surprised you didn't add some of the stories about the dealerships storing Teslas at local malls.
Well, we got a little bit of anti-Tesla in business, so I didn't want to go too heavy on them.
Front load it.
Little appetizer for the next section. You guys can watch that very soon. And as a reminder, you'll be able to watch this entire program forever, or at least for a little while, I don't know, on the other channel.
Links with friends.
Bye.
In like a month.
Yeah.